Hey guys, UWG Nick here, and welcome to maybe a Sunday snippet. Maybe it's just gonna be a filler. I actually don't know. I just feel like I really want to make a video right now, and I can't play any goddamn games because I got operated on today. So they cut open my arm and anchored my muscle back to my bone with like some pulley system with wires and screws and plates and all kinds of crap. I don't know what the fuck was going on. All I know is that this arm feels really dead right now, and I'm not allowed to lift it. Nor can I at the moment because it's still feeling the effects of being, what do you call it? I almost said subjugated, but anesthetized. And it was a complete anesthesia, I don't know. I was put under, like I was completely asleep. I remember lying on the operating table talking to the doctors about my pulse being low, but it has always been low. I've done a lot of, like, I used to free dive, and when I was free diving my resting heartbeat was at 32 beats per minute. Now it was jumping just below 40, and they were a little bit worried. I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then it went black. And then I woke up in a room. And the nurses came running and like, are you okay? I'm like, what time is it? It was 6 hours later. So that was fun, interesting. First time I've been put under. But because of this arm, can't do shit. I only have right arm right now. Hey. I thought I would make a video where I only need one arm. And I just saw Jesse Cox do this personality test called 16 Personalities. And I was just like, yeah, it looks kind of fun. Like, I could show people a little bit about who I am and how I think. And I don't know, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. If you don't watch it, because if this gets a lot of views, I'm going to keep making shit like this. So don't watch it if you don't like it. But yeah, so the site we're going to go to is 16personalities.com, and let me just bring it up. So here's the site, guys. It's called 16personalities.com, and yeah, it looked like a pretty decent test, and the breakdown you got of your personality at the end I thought was really interesting. So we're just gonna jump into it and see what happens. Apparently this test has been quite popular and people have said it's pretty good. So let's take the test. Let's see. I shouldn't lean forward because it's annoying when people lean towards the camera. Here we go. Free personality test. Nearest type explorer. Takes less than 12 minutes. That bullshit because I'm going to be talking. Answer honestly, and if you don't like the answer, try not to leave any neutral answers. I will. I wonder what a drink does to my painkillers. Maybe this will be a super fun video. You find it difficult to introduce yourself to other people. I disagree with that. But do I disagree like completely? Yes, I don't find it difficult at all. There are some people that I don't introduce myself to at parties or something, but that's because I don't talk to them. I'm gonna run up to people and go like, hi, I'm Nick. It's more if I have a reason to talk to them, they will know who I am. You often get so lost in thoughts that you ignore or forget your surroundings. No, I don't think so. Like, I have times when I sit at my desk at work and think about things, but I don't ignore or forget where I am. There has been one time, though, I think most people who drive have experienced this. You have a route that you've driven like 50 billion times before, and you get into your car and your brain goes on autopilot, and you just suddenly, like, you've been driving for 20 minutes and you kind of go like, oh, I'm here, and you have no memory of getting there. Like, the whole route is just blank, but you've apparently been driving good, I guess. Never got arrested anyways. So it happens, but I'm gonna go with mostly disagree. I don't really forget my surroundings. You try to respond to your emails as soon as possible and cannot stand a messy inbox. I cannot stand a messy inbox, that is true. But I'm not super respond to emails as soon as possible. There are some things that need a little bit of thought and things like that. But I'm pretty quick to respond if I can, so I'm gonna go with a green agree. You find it easy to stay relaxed even when there is some pressure. Yes, I do. I don't really crumble under pressure at all. I have in my youth. There has been times when I went into shock or something similar. But there's one time I can remember it happening, and that it feels like something snapped after that in my head, and my brain went like, let's never do that again. So nowadays I stay very cool under even in like critical situations where people have gotten hurt or similar. The time that I went into shock, I was like 7 or 8. My brother drove a wood splitting axe through his foot, like not just into his foot, but through his foot. And it was me and him. We were at our summer cottage, but during the winter. So there's no electricity, there's no phone. This was prior to cell phones, by the way. And snow, ice, and pretty much that's it. No heating either, except for log wood fires. And my mom and dad had just went on a skiing trip, like, I don't know, half an hour earlier or something like that. And the skiing loop they were going to do was about 2.5 hours. So here I am, like a 7 or 8 year old kid, staring down my brother's foot that is just gushing blood through his rubber boot. And mom and dad are nowhere near. I'm like, fuck. I just started running along the tracks, like trying to follow him, screaming at the top of my lungs, like, Mom, Dad, Mom, Dad. And luckily, my mom and dad had stopped over at the neighbor's cottage, maybe like a few hundred meters down the coast or down the shore. And my dad heard it, and he was like, God damn it, they're fighting again. And he came skiing back. To this story, like, my brother is 11 years older than me, but he is, how do I put this in PC terms nowadays? He's meant, I don't know, we're going to use the technical term. He's mentally retarded. Something happened during his childhood. His brain never fully developed, so he's always been at a very kind of childish level. So even though he's 11 years older than me, I was 7 and 8, he would have been 18. Maybe not so much a sibling you would fight with, but because of his condition, we were pretty much like similar in age, and we had lots of arguments and fights and stuff like that. Either way, my dad came skiing back like, God damn it, they're fighting again. I was like, brother, chop this foot off. Brother, chop this foot off. He was like, fuck. And he went back there. And my mom came back. And I remember when they pulled the boot off, just blood just jetting out of his foot. Like, we're talking 2 feet, like, over the snow. Like, just a big red stream. It was like, oh, fuck. Anyways, they jumped in the car. They left me there. This might sound weird to Americans, but to us, it wasn't that weird. Like, I had been there before. I know how to make a fire. There was food in the fridge. And yes, it was out in the cold, but they were like, we're going to go and come back in a couple hours. Just stay here. Neighbors, like, that way in case you need anything. So I was fine, but they just fucked off. But when they left, something just kind of collapsed in me. And I was just like, I was crying and sobbing and kind of like just sitting on a rock for a good while. And yeah, after that, something just kind of snapped in me, went like, that was not a clever way to respond emotionally to this situation. So after that, whenever shit has happened, my dad cut his toes off with a lawnmower like half a year later, and I was all business. And since then, it has always been in these high pressure situations. I stay cool. I tend to stay cool. So we're gonna have that as a agreed. You do not usually initiate conversations. No, if I have a reason to, I will. I have no issues with, like, if I'm at a party and I hear something, somebody says something, and I feel like I want to talk to somebody, I can easily initiate. But do I, like... I'm gonna go with a second disagree on that one. You rarely do something just out of sheer curiosity. That's complete disagree. This is fun. If my girlfriend watches this, she might not like me talking about my ex-girlfriend, but my ex-girlfriend's, my first relationship, the father in the house had a saying that was, try everything once and the good things twice, or the fun things twice. So, and yeah, I kind of took that to heart. That's, I think, a very good way to live. Don't knock it till you try it, that kind of thing. Don't make claims knowing things if you have zero experience in these things, or scientific data. Scientific data is good too. You feel superior to other people. Ooh. This might rub some feathers the wrong way. I know for a fact that I'm like in the top 10 or even 5th percentile of most educated people on the planet. And that is not because I'm very smart and have gone to a lot of school, but simply because I was born in a country with an education system that allowed it. Now, when you say I'm in the top 10th percentile of most educated people in the world, people tend to think very locally and go like that can't be true. A lot of people in this country have this master's degree or something. I'm not in the 10th most educated percentile in Finland of educated people. But when we think globally, it's like you have Asia, you have a lot of what Mr. President Donald Trump would say shithole countries, where there simply isn't a possibility of educating yourself. So I know I'm in the top 10th percentile of educated people in the world. Also, there's a saying like, think of the average person, like just a normal dude that you meet, that you talk to. Think about how dumb that person is and realize that 50% of the planet is dumber than that. In that regard, I consider myself to be above average intelligence. And I know this is a milady kind of hats off kind of thing, but this is, I'm being honest here. This is how I feel. Does that make me more worthy? Does it make me worth more as a person? No, I don't think so. I just think that I have a slightly stronger logical mindset, or slightly higher intelligence than just average. But believe me, I'm not in the like top 90 percentile of that. That is not true. Education, yes, because virtue of being born in Finland. Intelligence-wise, probably like the 51st percentile or something like that. We're talking pretty average, but a little bit better. So I'm gonna agree slightly. Being organized is more important to you than being adaptable. I disagree. I think being organized is very important, but I think if you're not adaptable, you are going to suffer greatly when things around you change, because not everything can be in your control. So if it's not in your control, things change and your organization doesn't change, or your way of organizing doesn't change, you're screwed. So I'm gonna disagree with that. You're usually highly motivated and energetic. If it's something I want, then yes. But if it's something that I feel I should do or have to do that I don't want to do, then no. But we're gonna go with agree. Like when it comes to acrobatics, which I love. When it comes to YouTube, which I love. All these things, I will make time for it. I will find time for it, and I will put a lot of energy into it. But also as a personality type, I'm not the Jacksepticeye kind of crazy, high energy, high octane. But I do have a certain type of energy, certain sarcastic, cynical, dickish kind of energy that I like to spend. So we're gonna agree slightly with that. Winning a debate matters less to you than making sure no one gets upset. 100% disagree. I don't give a shit about what people feel. If the fact is this, I don't care about how you feel about it. If it's a fact and it upsets you, tough fucking luck, you know? This is the world. Of course, winning a debate could be that I'm just winning even though I'm wrong, but that I'm gonna interpret this as winning a debate because I am correct or right. You often feel as if you have to justify yourself to other people. I disagree, but I don't completely disagree. There are situations where your actions, your intentions, your thoughts need to be justified and explained to other people. And for instance, arguments is one of them, or debates is one of them. You need to justify where your opinions come from. You can't just say, this is how it is, and go like, and they go like, well, why do you think that? And you're like, I don't fucking need to tell you. You kind of do. I do not feel that I need to justify my way of thinking. Maybe it's a difference. Maybe there's a difference there, like justifying why you think something in a discussion and justifying the way you are or act. But I've never been a follower, and I never felt the need to please people, so I don't feel the need to justify the way I am either. So I'm gonna disagree quite strongly with that, but not maximum, because I still think there are situations where justification is necessary. Your home and work environments are quite tidy. My home environment is usually quite tidy. That might change in the coming months because the baby's home, and the baby isn't making a mess, but the parents trying to take care of the damn thing is making a shit big ass mess, because when baby is crying and you're desperately trying to find something, you don't really care where you put stuff. You're just like, where the fuck is that thing? So, but I like tidiness. And my work environment, again, is like when you have like 10 different quotations running at the same time, you tend to have piles of paper everywhere. I try to organize them in neat piles so it looks neat, but I still don't have any fucking clue where anything is. So I'm just gonna go with I would like it to be, and agree. You do not mind being at the center of attention. That is true. I do not mind it at all. Do I need it? Well, this is not you do not mind. I absolutely do not mind. You consider yourself more practical than creative. Oh, this is interesting, because here I'm very neutral on this. I am a very practical person, but I also have a very creative side. I mean, I like being in plays. I like doing shows. I've been doing work as an extra in stage shows. I've even performed as one of the main characters in our university theaters and stuff like that. I performed singing solo in that show as well. My acrobatics, I try to invent new moves and be creative in that, and my YouTube creative outlet as well. But I am very practical. I am an engineer as well. But is the practical side something that is innate, or have I simply been trained through education to be practical? Because I have educated myself to become an engineer, and that's kind of a necessity there. They said don't put neutrals, so we're gonna go with more practical, slightly more practical than creative, because I'm not making masterpieces on YouTube either. So people can rarely upset you. Yeah, I agree quite strongly with that. Well, do I? People can't get under my skin. But there's a shit ton of people who upset me just because they exist and think in the way they do. Like the extreme right and extreme left, like neo-Nazis. Neo-Nazis are fucking idiots. SJWs and these extreme lefties are also fucking insane. What is it with that in America, by the way? Why is it either left or right, black or white? Where's the crowd that goes gray? They're like, yeah, these guys have a few points, these other guys also have a few points. Where is that? Why does everything have to be labeled? But that's aside the point. Really upset you. I'm gonna go with agree on this one, because face to face, people have a hard time getting under my skin. And I don't think it's really people that upset me, it's just the fact that these thoughts and ideas exist based on nothing. That can really piss me off. But it's not the person in themselves. I'm gonna go with a pretty big agree with that. Your travel plans are usually well thought out. Yes, I like to know where I'm going and what I'm doing. Then again, this is kind of a flexible question as well, because my travel plan might be, I'm gonna go backpack for a week. And in that case, well thought out, in my opinion, is like, I come to this place at that point, and then I leave from that place at that point. And in between, it's just like, we'll see what happens. But since I mostly travel nowadays for work, they are always very strictly planned. Like, we meet this customer at 8 a.m. on that day, and then we drive from there to there and go meet that customer in the evening. So we're gonna go with this. Not full agree, but pretty much, yeah. It is often difficult for you to relate to other people's feelings. Yeah, a little bit. Well, not relate. Maybe. I'm not an empathic person. I don't. If somebody suffers or has a hard time, it doesn't bring me down. I sympathize. I go easy on them during this time because I understand they're in a lot of pain and I don't want to make it worse. And I try to make things easier for them in order to not make it worse, but I don't suffer for it. I don't stress out. Here's an interesting story from the birth, actually. When our daughter was born, she had difficulty breathing. The doctors realized it very quickly and went okay, we're gonna need to intubate her. So shove a hose down her nose all the way down to her throat, where her throat. There's a word for this. the trachea, I guess, the tube that brings air into the lungs, where it splits off into the lungs. To that point, they shoved a hose down. And I was like, I want to see this because this is an interesting procedure. And all the doctors were like, we want you to leave the room. I'm like, why? It's like, can I stay? Like, yes, but you don't want to see it. I'm like, it's your own kid. I'm like, yeah, I know it's my own kid, but I want to see the procedure. They're like, oh, no, you don't. We've done it. We know it's tough for the parents. I was like, all right, so I left. But I realized, because, for instance, they put a new needle in my daughter's head when she was getting her last dose of anti-inflammatory medicine, antibiotics, I guess. And my girlfriend could not watch it because she suffered with the baby for the needle in the head. And I'm like, well, I don't fucking care. Like, sympathy, yes, but it needs to get done because she needs to get better. So, but no empathy. So, relating to other people's feeling, I'm gonna go with quite strong agreement. Your mood can change very quickly. No, not very quickly. I'm slow to anger, and well, I mean, I can get happy very quickly, but it doesn't feel like that's what they're asking. If I win a lottery, I can be like, oh, a normal day, and then win 10 million and be like, fuck yes, that'd be a pretty quick change. But I don't feel that that's what they're asking. In a discussion, truth should be more important than people's sensitivities. Yes, absolutely. Truth is everything. You rarely worry about how your actions affect other people. Rarely worry. Well, I do rarely worry. There are times when I worry about it. Like, if something has a big effect on somebody else, I will take it into consideration when making my decision, but that doesn't happen very often. Mostly because my life doesn't affect people very much. I'm gonna go with a slight agree on this one. Yeah. Your work style is closer to random energy spikes than the methodical and organized approach. Yes, very much so. Even my day job, I don't know why I'm looking up there. Even my day job is like, I get a thing, I work on it, and I get it done, and then I'm like burned out for half an hour when I'm like I might check some mails or something, but I don't have the energy to just move into the next thing. Other times it might be I come in the morning and I've had a short night or something like that, and I just need to have half an hour of kind of sitting and just organizing or fiddling or reading what should be done today, but this like very calm, not very efficient type of work before I can muster the energy to actually punch into it. And YouTube is the same. Like, I might get a sudden influence, like right now I got this idea that I want to make this video and I went for it, but there has been many days when I'm like, I'm just gonna run off my backlog. I can't be arsed to make another video today because whatever reason, not feeling it. You're often envious of others. No. A little bit. I'm gonna have a slight yes on that. There's always that, like, I wish I had a nicer car like that guy. I wish I had a better paying job than that guy. I wish I had better physique like that guy. All these things. I think envy is a driving force in humans in general. Often is a bit... Maybe it is often, like little things, but I'm not terribly envious. I'm just like, that'd be nice. Like, that motorbike is really nice. I wish I could get one of those instead of my 500cc Honda. Things like that. Small envies, but yeah, I guess it's pretty often. An interesting book or video game is often better than a social event. Yes, very much so. I have no trouble with social events, but I'm not drawn to them. I have never been to a music festival, for instance, and there's a lot of good ones here, very close to where I live. There's one very popular, one of the biggest ones in Finland, that's in this city, and I've had tickets to it, but I sold them because I could make a little bit more money that way than when I bought them. So, shit like this. I'm not drawn to social events, and I definitely think that a game or a book is often better. I still go to parties and stuff like that. I have no issues with it. It's just, it's more of, if I go to parties, it's usually like personal invitation, somebody actually wants me there, or birthday parties where I show up to actually pay respects, give gifts and stuff like that. But I don't like butt in on things, nor do I feel any need to get myself into parties or things like that. Being able to develop a plan and stick to it is the most important part of every project. No. Like, yes, it's very important, but it doesn't ring true for me. I'm more of a wing it type of guy. You rarely get carried away by fantasies and ideas. Carried away. I have a lot of ideas about what I want to do, what I want to make, and what I could, and I have a very strong imagination. So, but carried away? Do I ever get carried away? I'm gonna disagree slightly on that. I guess carried away here is like you take it too far. You can't pull back without losing something or getting punished for it, like investing too much time in something that doesn't work and then it's just sand between your fingers. I don't know. I'm gonna disagree with that slightly because I do get excited about things. You often find yourself lost in thought when you're walking in nature. No, I do not. When I'm in nature, I'm very much in the moment. I'm very much there in the woods. I'm looking for animals. I'm looking for, well, I'd say tracks, but I'm imagining myself walking a forest in the summer, which case I don't see tracks. But yeah, I'm very much awake when I'm awake. I'm very much there when I walk in the forest. I keep looking for animals. That's pretty much it. Animals, berries, stuff like that. Things I can get, use, eat. I'm going to strongly disagree with that. If someone does not respond to your email quickly, you start worrying if you said something wrong. No, I don't give two shits. If they don't respond immediately, I assume they're like me and like they see it but they don't have time right now, so they'll get back to me later, or they haven't read it yet. So yeah, disagree. As a parent, you would rather see your child grow up kind than smart. I would like both, of course. I think kind is being kind is important, because if you're kind, people respond in kind. Hey. So I think a kind person has an easier life. They have an easier way. It's easier to make friends, and it's easier to just get along socially by being kind. But that being said, if you're just kind, if you're kind and stupid, you will get taken advantage of. Being smart is a bit of self-defense mechanism as well. So I'm going to disagree slightly with this. You do not let other people influence your actions. That is true. Not completely true, because I have done things because my friends do them. I have tried things because somebody said it was fun and things like that. But I don't really care if somebody says, like, I do acrobatics and things like that. I'm 33 years old and I go out to parks and train, fucking do flips and shit that kids usually do, and people think I'm a bit crazy. Walk on my hands drunk in the middle of the city winter time. It's shit like that. I don't have that social judgment anxiety thing going. I know a lot of people who do. There's been a lot of people who I've tried to get to come test out acrobatics and see what they can do, because I think it's so amazing what our bodies are capable of that I want to share with people. But they are worried about looking stupid and they don't want to do that because of it. That insecurity kills it. I'm not like that at all, so I'm going to agree with that. When you sleep, your dreams tend to focus on the real world and its events. No, never. It's always something bizarre. It's always the ones I can remember are always like weird ass castles and monsters and fucking flying around. And I remember once I had a lucid dream, kind of lucid. I could semi control what happened. I could decide to do things in the dream, and it was really cool. But I was stuck in like this dreamscape, and that was from the dreamscape was from the 80s Ghostbusters cartoon. I remember going up that spine elevator thing or flying around it, one or the other. It was a bit crazy. But yeah, no, I disagree. Never real events. It does not take you much time to start getting involved in social activities at your new workplace. I'm gonna semi-agree. I have no problems being alone. For instance, at work, I very often eat alone in my room because it's a time for me to like do stuff that I can't do at work normally. Like, check YouTube videos, check my channel, see what's going on, Twitter, things like that. We don't have a filter at work. It's just frowned upon to do it during work time. I wonder why. But at the same time, if something fun is going on, sure, I'll get in on it and make friends, because I think having good connections at your workplace is very important. Having a social connection to your workplace is important. So it's a logical kind of thing for me. Like, I'm gonna work with these people, I should know these people, and I try to get in on stuff. It's not that I'm drawn to it, it's a decision. You're more of a natural improviser than you are a careful planner. Yes, to some extent. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Completely disagree. Kinda disagree. There have been times, as I said, that shock time, and there has been times when I've snapped in rage, but it has to be like really high level for me to go that far. And usually the outcome is not great for anybody. And yeah, I have some baggage in that general area, but it's very rare. It hasn't happened in many years. And as I said, it has to be an extreme situation. But other than that, I'm mostly, like 99% of the time, I'm very much in control of my emotions. I feel them, but I don't let them decide what I do. My logical brain is much stronger. Or side. You enjoy going to social events that involve dress-up and roleplay activities. Well, I like the idea. I think they're great that they exist, and I think it's a really good way for people to let loose. I'm just very bad at going to these things. I always have like this good idea that, oh, I should do this, and then I remember it, or I don't do anything about it until like 3 days beforehand, and then I realize I won't be able to pull it off, and I'm like, fuck it. But I like them. I like the idea very much. I'm just bad at them. You often spend time exploring unrealistic and impractical yet intriguing ideas. This is more true though, but some people might take umbrage to my decision to answer like this, because what I get drawn into is philosophy. And yes, that sounds so milady again, but seriously, like, just like life. What is life? Where does it come from? Where is it going? What are our role in this? Evolutionary, like natural philosophy, things like that. This whole argument about religion versus atheism. I am an atheist. I'm 100% an atheist. You might even call me an anti-theist. But no, not anti-theist. I do not say that there absolutely is no higher creature or being or force in the universe than we are. But I refute any and every written religion in this world. It's fucking dumb to think that we could write a book that encapsulates something that is so large that would have created the universe. That is fucking retarded. Don't even bring that shit to me. So I'm very much an atheist. But these arguments, these discussions are very interesting. So yeah, and like unrealistic and impractical yet intriguing ideas. Philosophy is always impractical, because you dig so deep into a problem that you find, like, you start discussing things where these are all like might be true concepts or great concepts for solving problems or things like this, but you very quickly realize they are not practical, because in the end the human being is an animal, and an animal has animalistic needs and will look out for themselves first and their family and so on. And you cannot, this system that we've built, that is the world economy, cannot be broken and just say like, no, okay, let's start doing it like this. It doesn't work. Philosophy usually comes to a point where it doesn't work. I mean, the idea is great, but reality is not, that kind of thing. You would rather improvise than spend time coming up with a detailed plan? Yes, I hate making plans. Though I think they're important, I just dislike them very much. You are a relatively reserved and quiet person. Not really. I mean, for instance, I've identified personas in myself. Like, there's nowadays my YouTube persona. It's the way I act, the way I talk, the way I think, or not think. The things I do, the way I am. It's kind of a persona to entertain. I'm answering these questions completely, like, truthfully, as I truly would think. But The presentation is a persona. Same thing when I am teaching acrobatics. I have this more energetic, more uppity, more like you can do it kind of, not happy-go-lucky, but more like a demanding, like you can do it. Like, of course you can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Anybody can do it. So it's very like a high energy, kind of cocky, that kind of persona. Not necessarily reflective of who I am, but it brings a certain edge and energy to the group. And I think that's important. It keeps people up and going. And it's fun. And there are a lot of other places where I have personas. I have my work persona, for instance. I have I had a university persona, and these things. Like, everything is just a mask that you put on yourself. And I think everybody is like this. I just managed to kind of identify the traits of some of mine. But in my true self, I'm not terribly reserved nor quiet. I very much voice my opinions, and yeah, no, not reserved at all. If you had a business, you would find it very difficult to fire loyal but underperforming employees. Yeah, I think so. But, you know, if they were actually underperforming, loyal underperforming employees. Well, if it's a loyal employee but underperforming, I might get dragged along for a bit with it and try to talk to them, but in the end, like, yeah, if you're underperforming, you're not having a good time at your work either. Like, if you feel that you're not doing good, then you're probably not enjoying your work. I think feeling that you're achieving something is very important in your workplace. So I'm going to agree a little bit with it. You often contemplate the reasons for human existence. Yeah, it happens. I don't lie awake at night thinking about it, but I get pulled into discussions online, things like that, forums, Facebook, whatever, Imgur, god damn it, Imgur. I get pulled into these discussions where the naturalist, logical side of me kind of has a very cynical view on things where other people might not agree. Things like that. So yeah, I quite often. Logic is usually more important than heart when it comes to making important decisions. Mostly, I agree, but there are important decisions that are decisions of the heart. But in my opinion, this thing here, logic, is super important. Like, oh my god, I can't even tell you how important it is. It's very, very important. Keeping your options open is more important than having a to-do list. How do I interpret this? Like a physical list? No. I'm going to disagree with this. Motivation. Keeping your options open means that you're not really committing to anything. In acrobatics, I know you're going to get sick and tired of me talking about it, but when you do acrobatics, for instance, you really need to commit to certain moves. There is no wishy-washy, I'm kind of going to try it. There are many moves that you have to just go like, fuck it, I'm doing it and I'm gonna land it. And even though it feels wonky as shit as I go into it, I'm just gonna keep tucking, staying tight, letting it rotate, and not stop halfway, not bail in any way, but like really full on into it. And I think this is also true for life. If there's something you really, really want, you need to really put a shit ton of energy into getting it. Keeping your options open is being kind of wishy-washy, not committing to anything, not really working towards anything. They say that one door closes, another opens. Well, yeah, but when you open a door, some other doors close. You can't keep them all open. It doesn't work. If your friend is sad about something, you are more likely to offer emotional support than suggest ways to deal with a problem. I'm sorry. Whoa. Gonna have a drink there. I completely disagree. I don't know if it's in the engineering side of me, but I am a problem solver. If they tell me what the problem is, the issue is, then I will definitely just like start digging into how do we fix this. Oh, here's another cool story. A few years ago, my mother was diagnosed with liver failure. And she was given 6 months to live. And they thought when they tested her that she was a full-blown alcoholic, and they were like, well, do you drink a lot? She was like, I have like a beer after sauna, maybe wine with food or something like that. And they were like, really? Is that really true? Because her liver was like completely shot to shit. All the same symptoms as it would have been for a full-blown alcoholic. It was shutting down. After a few more tests, it turned out that she has a genetic disease where her body stores iron apparently it can be in pretty much a random organ, but for her body was storing iron in the liver, and it was destroying it. This isn't a problem for young women because of a monthly cycle that releases a lot of iron through your blood. But my mom was at the age where that wasn't really happening anymore, so it started like really building up fast. And when they told me about this, I didn't have an emotional reaction. It was very, again, control of emotions kind of thing. Like I knew, okay, this is bad, but I didn't have like that, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I didn't go like that. I was just like, all right, this is the situation. And I went online and started studying up on liver transplants. And it turns out that liver transplants is like the only transplant that they do in Finland, I think, from a living person. If I remember this correctly. Kidneys, I'm not sure. Could you get kidneys from a living person? From a donor? Maybe? Or was it not done in Finland? I can't remember. But liver transplants were one of those things where they're like, we'll do it because the liver is like one of the only regenerating organs in your body. You can literally open up a person, cut off half their liver, stick it into another person, wait like 6 months, and Bob's your uncle, both of the livers have grown back to full size. They might have a little bit of loss in function, but nothing that will be in any way detrimental to the persons who are involved in this. And when I found that out, I was like, all right, well, if needed, she can have part of my liver. I mean, she made the damn thing. She can have half of it back. What's the dish? Well, no issue. So I told that to my mom, and she was really happy about that, but like sad at the same time. It was a very rough time in our family's history. But before they went into that, they were like, okay, we're gonna try this. You can't drink any alcohol anymore at all, to my mom, and then we're gonna start taking blood from you. So I think she went like 2 or 3 times a week and got like half a liter, like a significant amount, just drained from her. And by doing that, they're emptying the reserves of iron so that it doesn't get stored. It doesn't store excess iron because there's a deficiency all the time. So you try to keep the body from dumping iron into the liver. I'm not sure if the blood could take back iron from the liver, probably not. But the natural flushing system of the liver got rid of it, and as I said, regenerating organ. So this treatment worked wonders for her. So she was doing that for maybe a year or something. And remember, 6 months to live was the original diagnosis. And this is now like 4 or 5 years ago or something, and she's pretty much in perfect health with that aspect of her life. Maybe some permanent damage, but nothing that really affects her in any way. Also, she has started drinking wine with food again, and maybe the occasional beer with sauna, and she's not dying from it. So cool story. But yeah, problem solver in that way. You rarely feel insecure. That is not true. I think insecurities are also a big part of a person's makeup. Insecurities drives us to be better people. If somebody's completely 100% cocksure all the time, they will not try to become better. They will think they are the shit. They will be a narcissist. In their eyes, perfect. And no need to change if you're perfect. So there's no drive in them. I have insecurities with a lot of things. I have insecurities at my workplace, like a little bit of what do you call it? Not a fraud, but there's a good word for it, but I can't. Like not a scammer. Like you're a fraud. You are faking your ability to do your job. There's a little bit of that in me, like a continuous uncertainty, like. Am I good enough to do this? Am I correct in doing this? Blah, blah, blah. So it's a little bit of anxiety on that. Then the physical image. I've been a lot more fit than I am nowadays. I miss those days. But it all comes down to like, am I willing to sacrifice the time in the gym to get it back? You know, I have insecurities of that. Money. Am I good enough with my YouTube videos? Am I, you know, there's a lot of insecurities. They're not bad. I don't have anxiety over them, but I feel them. So I'm going to disagree with rarely insecure. You have no difficulties coming up with a personal timetable and sticking to it. Ooh, disagree. I come up with personal timetables, but I have trouble sticking to them. Things always take longer than I expect. I'm very keen on being efficient, which also translates into me believing that things will be more efficient than they are. And but hey, if you leave it for the last minute, it only takes a minute. Being right is more important than being cooperative when it comes to teamwork. Ooh. Well, if you're cooperative and you're wrong, then the teamwork is bad. If you're right, but you get downvoted, then at least you can like be like, yeah, well, I told you. So I think being right is more important than being cooperative. And I also think like there are people, certain key figures in teams, certain people that you work with that might be very difficult to get along with, but they are very good at what they do. So you respect their decisions, you just avoid having any social contact. That still makes them a very important member of the team. And feelings are feelings. Feelings are not facts. Feelings are feelings. Maybe I'll even up that a little bit. I mean, it doesn't say that I have to be right. It just said, like, a person being right is more important than the person being cooperative when it comes to teamwork. Yeah, I think being right, knowing your shit, is more important. You think that everyone's views should be respected, regardless of whether they are supported by facts or not. Ha! No. Fuck off. I don't care if you think fucking vaccinations cause autism. You're wrong. They don't. And your fucking view, your opinion is killing people because you're letting extinct diseases back into society. So no, I'm not respecting that view. That is retarded. Stop it. Vaccinate your kids, people. Vaccinate your kids. If you're a kid, don't have a kid. You feel more energetic after spending time with a group of people. I usually feel more exhausted. I disagree. You frequently misplace your things. Yeah, I do. You see yourself as very emotionally stable. Yes, quite. Not, well, actually. Outwards, yes. Oh, this is difficult again. My emotions may not be stable, but the way I act on them is stable because, as I said, the logical side of me is more in control than my emotions. But my emotions might throw a lot. I'm going to agree to some extent. Your mind is always buzzing with unexplored ideas and plans. To some extent. Like, right now I have like 10 things I want to do with this house that I don't know if I can do. There's a lot of things I want to do with YouTube that I don't know if I have the skill or the time to do. But yeah, we're gonna agree. There is that dreamer side of me. You would not call yourself a dreamer. Well, answer that one. You usually find it difficult to relax when talking in front of many people. Usually. Most of the time I have no issues with talking in front of a lot of people. As I said, I've performed on stages and things like that. But one thing, when I perform in theaters and on stage, the character that I play is my mask. I don't need to worry about what people think of me because they're seeing the character. I'm not on stage, the character's on stage. He's my shield. Or she's my shield. Think about that for a bit. So when I'm on stage performing, I've done it enough to know this. I have no issues. I don't have stage fright. I can do whatever the play demands. I have no issues with being whatever on stage because it's not me. I'm not the one on stage. It's the character. I separate myself from that aspect. And that's very, very handy. There are times though, like when you're at work, which is a professional setting, and you're supposed to be an engineer who knows your shit, that may be a bit stressful because you start thinking, what if I got this wrong? There's no place to hide in that case. Your professional persona is under scrutiny, and the professional persona is very close to yourself, so that's a little bit more difficult for me. So I'm gonna not completely disagree, but largely. Generally speaking, you rely more on your experience than your imagination. You rely more on your experience than your imagination. But these two mix so much. Like, I might have an idea, I imagine how it works, and then from experience I consider, well, have I seen this solution before? Has it worked? Has it worked for me in that case, and how did it act? But I rely more on my experience than just throwing out ideas. That is true. I throw out ideas of how to solve a thing, and then I try to fact check myself with previous experience, like, could this work? Could this be right? And since the experience is the reference, I guess the reliance would be more on that side. You worry too much about what other people think. No, not too much. Not at all. Not too, well, wait, you worry too much about what other... I worry too much. So if I disagree, it means I don't care about what people think. Yes, completely disagree. Not too much. Like, there are some things when you need to consider what people think of you, especially in a professional setting again, but not too much. Not at all. Probably a little bit too little. If the room is full, you stay closer to the walls, avoiding the center. Disagree slightly. It depends on the setting. It depends on the situation. I've been at parties where I know like one person that's a birthday kid, and I'm there to talk and hang out with them pretty much. But since they're the host, they have to be everywhere, and everybody else is like a stranger to me, speaking Finnish, which is a second language to me, weaker than my English, in fact. And in that case, I kind of just like hang back and be like, all right, I'll just chill out here. But if somebody talks to me, I can talk to them. I don't mind being in the center either. I'm just gonna slightly disagree. You have a tendency to procrastinate everything, and there's not enough time to do everything. Usually there is enough time to do everything. I just get really, like, have to really fucking hurry and like really crunch. So yeah, disagree slightly. You feel very anxious in stressful situations. Very much disagree. In very stressful situations, my emotional side shuts down and my logical side takes over completely. I become like almost a robot, just going through facts, going through situation, thinking through like, what can I do? How can we fix this? Emotions don't really play into it at that point. If you believe that it is more rewarding to be liked by others than to be powerful. Yes, I think it's more rewarding to be liked by others than to be powerful, because being liked is, in a way, being powerful. Connections. Being powerful is probably rewarding, but yeah, no, like rewarding, not just can I do more by being powerful, but rewarding. Yeah, I very much think that being liked is more rewarding than powerful. You have always been interested in unconventional and ambiguous things, e.g. in books, arts, or movies. I guess, like, I'm a huge fantasy nerd. We played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, and God knows it wasn't cool back then either. So, like, I've always been a bit of a nerd. That also did sports. I was like a mix of both, so I guess, like, but I'm not like art or movies, not so much. Well, there are some, like 12 Angry Men was really good, which is unconventional, I guess. What was that Valhalla movie that they didn't say a word at all for like the first 20 minutes or something? That was pretty cool. I'll just go with that one. You often take initiative in social situations. Yes. If nothing's happening, yeah. But do I need it? I'm just gonna slightly agree with that. Oh, here we go. Oh, a debater. Here, that is actually quite correct. I love my debates. I love arguing. I know a number of people that if they watch this video are gonna laugh about this. But hey, it hit me pretty hard. Or it got me pretty correctly. Let's see, extroverted 69%, introverted 31%. Yeah, I guess so, maybe. I would put a 50-50 on that personally, but yeah, why not? Energy, intuitive, observant. Yeah, that's pretty close. Like close to the middle. I think I use both my sides quite a lot. Nature, thinking over feeling. Yes, I am very much, as I said, this is probably how my brain would actually work. 75% thinking and 25% feeling. Feelings, in my opinion, feelings are important in certain situations, but most of the time, not so much. They're a little bit overbearing at times. Tactics, judging and prospecting. This trait reflects our approach to work planning and decision making. What is prospecting? Like, I know what it means. It's like digging for gold, but it sounds a bit weird. May I point out a couple of mistakes in your argument? This is exactly what I do when I find somebody who's wrong on the internet. It's like crack. I'm a dickhead. Identity. This trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. Turbulent 25, assertive 78. Yeah. Yep, I guess I would be assertive. Get results by email. Start reading. Oh, there's like, okay, here's the big breakdown. Start reading. Debater personality, ENTP, -A -T. Follow the path of the unsafe, independent thinker. Expose your ideas to the dangers of controversy. Speak your mind and fear less the label of crackpot than the stigma of conformity. And on issues that seem important to you, stand up and be counted at any cost. Yes, that quote by Thomas J. Watson is very good, I think. That is a very good quote. I like it. The debater now I'm going to read for a while. The debater personality type is the ultimate devil's advocate. Thriving on the process of shredding arguments and beliefs and letting the ribbons drift in the wind for all to see. Debaters don't do this because they're trying to achieve some deeper purpose or strategic goal, but for the simple reason that it's fun. No one loves the process of mental sparring more than debaters, as it gives them a chance to exercise their effortlessly quick wit, broad accumulated knowledge base, and capacity for connecting disparate ideas to prove their points. I like this. I'm not gonna be too braggy about broad accumulated knowledge base and capacity for connecting. Well, capacity maybe, but this whole thing, the debater's personality, blah 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 blah, devil's advocates. Thriving on process of shredding arguments and beliefs and letting the ribbons drift in the wind for all to see. I do this, like, even if I agree with somebody's arguments, like I agree with their basic point, if their argument is flawed, I will tear into it and be like, this is a shit argument. You can't claim this because of these things. Even if I agree with the standpoint, I do this, which sometimes lands me in hot water when we're talking like sensitive subjects such as racism or politics or something similar. I come in with like, you can't argue like that, and people just assume I'm on the other side. They go like, oh, this guy is a whatever, or whatever, he's a racist, or he's a Trump supporter, he's a lefty, he's a whatever. Like, I prefer not to label myself in any kind of way. I have my own way of thinking, but I love destroying bad arguments. An odd juxtaposition arises with the debaters. They are uncompromisingly honest, but will argue tirelessly for something they don't actually believe in, stepping into another's shoes to argue the truth from another perspective. Argue a truth, not the truth. A truth. Sure. I don't like the truth word there. There is usually just one truth. But yes, this is true. Like, I will abandon my own concepts or my own ideas and just defend somebody else's, even though if I don't agree with them, because arguments, just for the sake of argument, so to speak. Playing the devil's advocate helps people with the debater personality type not only develop a better sense of others' reasoning, but a better understanding of opposing ideas, since debaters are the ones arguing them. This tactic shouldn't be confused with the sort of mutual understanding diplomat personalities seek. Debaters, like all analyst personality types, are on a constant quest for knowledge, and what better way to gain it than to attack and defend an idea from every angle, from every side. There are no rules here. We are trying to accomplish something. Taking certain pleasure... I want to zoom, but I don't know how to do it. Hold on, this is going to be a bit wonky because I can't use my arm. There we go. Debaters' capacity for debate Yeah, taking certain pleasure in being the underdog, debaters enjoy the mental exercise found in questioning the prevailing mode of thought, making them irreplaceable in reworking existing systems or shaking things up and pushing them in clever new directions. However, they'll be miserable managing the day-to-day mechanics of actually implementing their suggestions. This is too accurate. Debater personalities love to brainstorm and think big, but they will avoid getting caught doing the grunt work at all costs. I'm a lazy shit. Debaters only make up about 3% of the population, really, which is just right as it lets them create original ideas, then step back to let more numerous and fastidious personalities handle the logistics of implementation and maintenance. Really, only 3% of the population? Wow. I'm a special snowflake. Yeah. Debaters' capacity for debate can be a vexing one. While often appreciated when it's called for, it can fall painfully flat when they step on others' toes by, say, openly questioning their boss in a meeting, or picking apart everything their significant other says. This is further complicated by debaters' unyielding honesty, as this type doesn't mince words or cares little about being seen as sensitive or compassionate. Like-minded types get along well enough with people in the debater personality type, but more sensitive types and society in general are often conflict averse, preferring feelings, comfort, even white lies over unpleasant truths and hard rationality. This is what gets me in trouble. Society in general are often conflict averse, preferring feelings, comfort, and even white lies, because I will, to the death, defend a fact, even though it labels me as something I am not. I will defend a way of thinking even if it makes people just so angry with me. There's a lot of people who have gotten very angry with me because I've defended certain things. This frustrates debaters, and they find that their quarrelsome fun burns many bridges. It's like I've read this before. Oftentimes inadvertently, as they plow through others' thresholds for having their beliefs questioned and their feelings brushed aside, treating others as they'd be treated. Debaters have little tolerance for being coddled and dislike when people beat around the bush, especially when asking a favor. Debater personalities find themselves respected for their vision, confidence, knowledge, and keen sense of humor, but often struggle to utilize these qualities as the basis for deeper friendships and romantic relationships. Do I struggle? Maybe. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends. That is true. Actually, this is okay. Let's look at that. Deeper friendships and romantic relationships. I don't have many people that I would call friends. Like, I have a lot of. Actually, I have a lot of acquaintances. I have a very vast amount of acquaintances. People I get along with on a surface level very well and, hang out. We can train together and things like that. But there are very few people that I keep close to my heart. I'd say out of I think less than 10. Less than 10 people easily. I have two childhood friends that were actually American, were born in Finland but moved to America, grew up there, who will always be like my brothers. Then I have a childhood friend that I met in junior high school, who we just had so much fun and we hung out so much back then that he will always be one of my best friends. Then I have another one that I met in senior high school, also a very, very close friend. But yeah. No, there's very few people I would really consider friends. Most of them are acquaintances, so maybe this is true. Opportunity is missed because it looks like hard work. Debaters have a longer road than most in harnessing their natural abilities. Their intellectual independence and free-form vision are tremendously valuable when they're in charge, or at least have the ear of someone who is, but getting there can take a level of follow-through that debaters struggle with. Probably true. Once they've secured such a position, debaters need to remember that for their ideas to come to fruition, they will always depend on others to assemble the pieces. If they've spent more time winning arguments than they have building consensus, many debaters will find they simply don't have the support necessary to be successful. Playing devil's advocate so well, the people with this personality type may find that the most complex and rewarding intellectual challenge is to understand a more sentimental perspective and to argue consideration and compromise alongside logics and process. This is something that has grown in me as I've gotten older. When I was a kid, when I was younger, like we're talking especially like in the 20s, I was really like all about winning the argument. Like I've had some arguments per email, and then I've like found them many years later when going through like email account or some like old account and seeing what I had there, and reading my own texts. I was like, man, this guy's a dick, and it's me. I was a dick. Nowadays it's more tempered by kind of understanding that other people's brains don't work like mine. Other people don't see things the way I do, or use the language in the way that I do. So it's been very much like reining myself in and trying to just be a little bit more humane when it comes to emotional responses and things like that. This is surprisingly accurate. I really like it. Let's see. Debaters you might know. I am the masturbator. Master debater. Alfred Weird Al Yankovic. Okay. Adam Savage. Sarah Silverman. I know the first two. Sarah Silverman, I don't know. Mark Twain, of course I know him. Tom Hanks, oh really? Thomas Edison. I'll add that to my list. Celine Dion. Really? Loved her in the new Deadpool music video. Sacha Baron Cohen. Wow, because I can't stand his humor. I can't watch cringy humor. I feel like I just want to crawl out of my seat when I watch it. Captain Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean. Really? I guess he is. Yeah, kind of. Jim Halpert, The Office. Yes, I know who that person is, and wow. Okay. Irene Adler, Sherlock Holmes series. Name rings a bell, but can't really. Oh, the Joker. Oh, that's interesting. As long as it's the Joker from The Dark Knight, what's his name? The actor. 10 Things I Don't Like About You, etc. He did a tremendous job with the character, but no, his name escapes me for some stupid ass reason. Tyrion Lannister. He is the greatest, and I very much agree with him. I admire him greatly. Julian Sarks, Alias, don't know. Felicity Smoke, Arrow, don't know. Dr. Emmett Brown. Okay, Brown is cool. Strengths and weaknesses. Pay attention if you want to know how to tear me down. Debater strengths. Knowledgeable. Debaters rarely pass up a good opportunity to learn something new, especially abstract concepts. This is very true. Abstract concepts very much intrigue me. This information isn't usually absorbed for any planned purpose as with dedicated studying, but people with the debater personality just find it fascinating. Exactly. It's very interesting. Quick thinkers. Debaters have tremendously flexible minds and are able to shift from idea to idea without effort, drawing on their accumulated knowledge to prove their points or their opponents as they see fit. Maybe what I struggle with in conversation is to keep people on the debate. It always spirals out of control, and people like take one thing that you mention offhand and like bridge off from that and leave the original conversation, which I find so frustrating. Just stick to the subject, man. Original. Having little attachment to tradition, debater personalities are able to discard existing systems and methods and pull together disparate ideas from their extensive knowledge base with little raw creativity to hold them together. To formulate bold new ideas. If presented with chronic systemic problems and given rein to solve them, debaters respond with unabashed glee. If presented with chronic systemic problems and given rein to solve them, debaters respond with unabashed glee. Yes, I love it. I take a large amount of pleasure in destroying things that are like just accepted as true, but there's no proof or point or anything in them, just like they exist for the sake of existing. Tear that shit apart. Makes me rock hard. Excellent brainstormers. Nothing is quite as enjoyable to debaters as analyzing problems from every angle to find the best solution, combining their knowledge and originality to display out every aspect of the subject at hand, rejecting without remorse options that don't work, and presenting ever more possibilities. Debaters are irreplaceable in brainstorming sessions. This is if you're an engineer and this type of person, then this might be a little bit more difficult. Like, this is very true in abstract discussions, religion, philosophies, things like that. Even psychology, I guess. Is it a science? Don't know. But when it comes to engineering, there's the framework is so strong. The structure is so strong that you don't really need to dismiss ideas, because physics have already dismissed them. So you're only left with like finding ways to work it, and in the end, physics decide all the same. So don't get to play that much with this part in engineering. Charismatic. People with a debater personality type have a way with words and wit that others find intriguing. Their confidence, quick thought, and ability to connect disparate ideas in novel ways create a style of communication that is charming, even entertaining, and informative at the same time. Well, of course. I'll take it. Energetic. When given a chance to combine these traits to examine an interesting problem, debaters can be truly impressive in their enthusiasm and energy, having no qualms with putting in long days and nights to find a solution. I have spent inordinate amount of times in this amounts of time in philosophical arguments and brainstorming. That is true. Debater weaknesses. Here we go. This is what you've been waiting for. Very argumentative. Yes. If there's anything debaters enjoy, it's the mental exercise of debating an idea, and nothing is sacred. More consensus-oriented personality types rarely appreciate the vigor with which debater personalities tear down their beliefs and methods, leading to a great deal of tension. Very true. I am very argumentative, and I will get up in your face about it. Even like, it's been tempered by age, but there was a time that no matter the setting, if I found something that I could attack with an argument, I would. And people rarely enjoyed it. I did, but they didn't. Insensitive. Being so rational, debaters often misjudge others' feelings and push their debates well past others' tolerance levels. People with this personality type don't really consider emotional points to be valid in such debates either, which magnifies the issue tremendously. Also very, very true. I piss people off, and yeah, they get upset, and I don't care, because feelings aren't facts. So it doesn't matter what you feel. It doesn't matter how you experience the thing. Your emotions do not matter to anyone else but you. Intolerant. Unless people are able to back up their ideas in a round of mental sparring, debaters are likely to dismiss not just the ideas, but the people themselves. True. If you hold a belief based on nothing, you are an idiot. Either a suggestion can stand up to rational scrutiny, or it's not worth bothering with. This is where the dick part of me comes in. Because I judge people like, somebody's like, I don't know, believes in, what do you call it, that freaking water medicine thing. What's it even called? Homeopathy? Fuck off with that shit. Like, if you tell me you believe in astrology or homeopathy or any of that new age bullshit, you like, in my head, you are not a person worthy of talking to. Like, no, there's no point in arguing with you. You're like, it's not. Why? The same flexibility that actually extends to religion as well, which makes it a little bit tense, because two of those friends that I mentioned earlier, who will always be like my brothers, one of them is a pastor, and the whole family's deeply religious, and I have no time for such nonsense. Like, full-on atheist. So, Mike, Matthias, if you're watching this, sorry, but that side of you, I have nothing. I can't. I can't. But you do you. Enjoy your life. Most important thing is that you're happy. Can find it difficult to focus. The same flexibility that allows debaters to come up with such original plans and ideas makes them adapt perfectly good ones far too often. The same flexibility that allows debaters to come up with such original plans and ideas makes them readapt perfectly good ones far too often, or to even drop them entirely as the initial excitement wanes and newer thoughts come along. Boredom comes too easily for debaters, and fresh thoughts are the solution, though not always as a helpful one. I don't really. Yeah, there's been arguments I've been in where I've started dismantling like trying to evolve, trying to think deeper, and in the end it's just looped back to the same one, and I go like, well, I guess that's the thing. So spending time on nonsense for no other reason than the mental exercise, as they say in this text. Dislike practical matters. Debaters are interested in what could be, malleable concepts like ideas and plans that can be adapted and debated. When it comes to hard details and day-to-day execution where creative flair isn't just unnecessary but actually counterproductive, debater personalities lose interest, often with the consequence of their plans never seeing the light of day. And I'm an engineer! So yeah, I think this is true though. Like, I'm most excited about making a quotation where I get to make a plan and form a solution and like kind of come up with ideas, try to be clever in the way that our quotations are made. But when it turns to like, no, we just have to do it the same way we've always done it, then it's like, oh, and like motivation or interest in the project goes really far down. Still, selling it is an incentive because that's my job, but my personal enjoyment of the project goes down. Romantic relationships. Debater relationships. If there's one thing debaters are good at, it's coming up with a never-ending stream of innovations and ideas to keep things moving forward. Excuse me. Well, that'll move forward. And this is evident in their romantic relationships as well. For people with the debater personality type, growth is key. And even before they've found a dating partner, they imagine all the ways that they can experience new things together to grow in tandem. This can be an overwhelming process if their partner doesn't match up. But when debaters find someone who shares their love of intellectual exploration, watch out. Show me a satisfied man and I'll show you a failure. From the earliest dates, debaters test their partner's limits for this kind of potential pushing boundaries and traditions. Debaters test their partner's limits for this kind of potential pushing boundaries and traditions, looking for open-mindedness and spontaneity. Spontaneity? Dating debater personalities is hardly a boring experience, and they make use of their enthusiasm and creativity by delighting and surprising their partners with new ideas and experiences. Debaters' idea of fun is often rooted in self-improvement, and people with this personality type bring their partners along the way, as much in a spirit of sharing as in a spirit of expectation. Spirit of sharing versus and spirit of expectation. This comes back to acrobatics. Whenever I bring people along for acrobatics, I want to share it, but I also have this expectation that they will really try to enjoy it, and that they, like, if they just see it the way I do, they will enjoy it. So there's a lot of expectation within me, which makes it rough if it's a close friend or, God forbid, a girlfriend or something like that who doesn't like acrobatics, because they can sense that, like, I'm like standing next to them like, isn't this fun? And they're like, it's just and then I get disappointed, of course. Some may tire in the face of this constant improvement. While debaters' vigor can be attractive, it can also wear down even the most patient partners. A little time to breathe and a chance to rest on one's laurels for a moment is necessary for many people, but not something debaters are likely to appreciate. However, if their unwavering enthusiasm is met in kind, it can lead to a magnificent relationship characterized by its strength, depth, and spark. Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. This is perhaps most evident as debaters' relationship progress into more intimate situations. All that exploratory curiosity and enthusiasm has a chance to be expressed in new ways when debaters and their partners come together, and they readily encourage their partners to try new things, to enjoy their intimacy without preconceived limitations. For people with the debater personality type, this phase of their relationship is a chance to improve and develop in areas that are outside the realm of academia, though they approach it in much the same way, as a physical and intellectual process of striving towards excellence rather than a spiritual or emotional expression of affection. This rings true to me. Me and Annette, my girlfriend, we don't argue. We don't scream or get angry with each other. Like, we get miffed. With each other, but it always follows up with a discussion of how do we treat this situation in a way that we kind of have a set of rules for how we act. Like, the goal for us at least in the way I see it, is the goal for us is to create the perfect relationship kind of thing. And it's not necessarily emotional roller coaster passion and wild nights out on the deck in the moonlight or shit like that. It's more like, how do we function with each other and as a unit as much or as strongly as possible. This means also that I place 100% of trust in her, and I am completely devoted to her. Like, it's not like I'm blind to other women. Of course, if I see a sexy lady, my eyes automatically get drawn to it. I have red blood, after all. I am male. My hormones go like, ooh, that'd be a fun ride. But I would never act upon it. And I believe she's the same. I mean, if she sees an attractive male, how the fuck could she not look at him? It's nature. It's natural. It's what we're made to do. But I don't take offense at that. I would take offense if she did something about it, of course, because that would destroy our unit. But yeah, in my relationships, I tend to be, or I try to be, this is not something that has come naturally to me either, like this complete trust. There's a lot of failed relationships in the background that I have held too tightly or been jealous and they have gotten destroyed. But I learned from that. Again, the mental exercise, I guess. I learned from that, and this is my current way of functioning. Like, I am completely devoted to her, and I expect complete devotion from her when it comes to our unit. If her eyes drift, mine do too. So, as long as her hands don't drift, mine won't either. But yeah, it's that striving towards excellent rather than a spiritual or emotional expression of affection that encapsulates it very, very well, our relationship. Debaters' desire to improve in this department makes them fantastic partners when the relationship reaches that point. But their attitude towards this process is also evidence of their most glaring shortcoming, their emotional obliviousness. While debaters are more open-minded than other analyst personality types about others' perspective, they are also more likely to express their disdain for such things as emotional sensitivity in cuttingly well-phrased and clear terms. That's true. I've dropped some very cruel comments about these kinds of things, easily hurting their partner's feelings without realizing it. Debater personalities may even ignore their partner's feelings altogether, instead immersing themselves entirely in some distant idea or opportunity, inaccessible. Where debaters' unwavering desire for self-improvement comes in most handy is in their emotional development, as they may actually be willing to work on areas such as sensitivity and emotional communication with their partners. As I said, failed relationships have taught me a lot. I guess this is part of it. Debaters' best Debaters' best compatibility. Fuck, I can't say this word. This is going in the video. Debaters' best compatibility rests with other intuitive N-types with one or two opposing traits which help to create both balance and opportunities for growth. If they are with a more sensitive partner, this can be an excellent way for them to find another quality that they can work on together, making this weakness yet another opportunity to be creative, challenge themselves, and to deepen the attractiveness that this sense of progression brings to their relationship. Man, this is going to be a long video. Debater friends. Loyalty, support, emotional feedback. These are not what debaters look for in their friendship. The last thing people with the debater personality type want to hear is, "You're right." Not unless they have absolutely earned the distinction in a heated round of intellectual debate. That is true. I hate when people fold. Like, if they just give up, they go like, "You're right." I'm like, oh, fucking, what do you call it? Don't pity me. Is it pity? Yeah, don't pity me. Like, what the fuck? Like, fight. Let me hear your opinion. Let me like explain to me. Change my mind on this. If they're wrong, debaters want to be told so. And they want every detail of the faults in their logic to be laid bare, partly in their quest for oftentimes arbitrary truth, and partly just so they have to work to defend that logic with counterpoint and parry. Yes, it's often easy for debaters to test compatibility with a potential friend. They just need to test They just need to test compatibility. Debater personalities are quick-witted, and their primary means of expressing this is in the form of arguments and discussions where they will easily spend an entire evening debating an idea they may not even believe in. The epitome of debaters' friendships is when someone can hold their ground in these arbitrary debates with valid rational arguments. Yes. Even though we don't reach a conclusion or an agreement, if they have formed an opinion based on things that I can understand, I will accept that they are different. I will accept that they think differently and that their experience have led them in a different direction in life. But I need that motivation. I need to understand why. These debates are never taken personally. Again, true. No matter how heated they become or how striking the disagreement, much as an athlete compares for the physical exertion and the spirit of competition in self, debaters debate for the sake of intellectual stimulation and for the debate itself. And even in overwhelming victory or crushing defeat, it is never about dominance, only inspiration to try harder next time. This brings us back to this whole, like, my two religious friends. I have no issue with them being religious, other than that whenever we discuss, I feel that they are completely in the wrong. That it's not, what they believe is not true. That doesn't mean it isn't true. I can't prove it's not true, which is also frustrating because it comes this looping argument. But that section, when we argue about it, when we discuss it, it frustrates me because, well, anybody who's an atheist or a non-believer and has tried arguing with religious people, you know how it goes. It comes back to that everything is faith. At that point, you just have to go like, okay, and leave it at that. But as people, I have no problem with those people. They're wonderful guys, both of them. I just, this acceptance of something that they cannot analyze frustrates me. When you play hard. They know how to relax and have fun too. It's just that fun to debaters, a bottle of wine and a discussion about the costs and solutions to the European migrant crisis could be described as an evening from hell by many other personalities. But debaters are a genial and enthusiastic personality type for the most part, and pretty much any situation that allows for conversation and a little wordplay is an enjoyable outing. Debaters are actually remarkably good at communicating with friends and acquaintances of other personality types. Their natural tendency to argue as effectively as possible means that debaters are accustomed to communicating in other people's language and frame of reference, and this translates well into normal conversation. Where people with the debater personality type do have difficulty relating to others is in emotional expression, the Achilles heel of all analyst types. The worst thinking has been done in turmoil, being inclined to suppress their emotions and feelings when debaters are faced with a friend who figuratively or literally needs a shoulder to cry on. They have no clue how to handle the situation. It is awkward for me. They are perfectly willing and happy to offer a series of rational, reasonable solutions to the problem at hand, as debaters do for any situation where a problem needs to be fixed, but they are certainly not known for their sensitivity or outward affection, no matter how intuitively they may understand another's position. Worse is when debater personalities try to turn these emotional situations into something they find more comfortable, a debate. Given how remarkably good debaters are at arguing both sides of a point, they are remarkably bad at putting themselves in someone else's shoes from an emotional standpoint. Debaters should avoid at all costs the temptation to turn a discussion about the causes of a friend's recent breakup into competitive intellectual fodder. I'm guilty of that too. So long as everyone understands not to take their words too personally, anyone who isn't afraid to discuss new ideas and have them converted into so much confetti is likely to find stimulating and thought-provoking friends and debaters. It's not a compatibility that clicks with everyone, but debaters don't really care about being liked by everyone anyways. As long as they get to alternate between being the sounding board and the megaphone, debaters and their friends are bound to enjoy each other's company for a long, long time. Holy shit, parenthood! My god! This is gonna be interesting, to me at least. You might not care. Debater parents. One might think that the blustery and flighty nature of debaters would make parenting a particular challenge for them, and in many ways they'd be right. However, one thing people with the debater personality type love more than just about anything is a good challenge, a problem to fix, even if it comes to addressing their own weaknesses. Debaters take their roles as parents seriously, and they are bound to be affected profoundly by this development in their lives. I'm already feeling it. If anyone is able to take an outside influence like their children and use that influence to address their own faults, it is debaters. I'm a master debater. Be brave, have faith, go forward. From the beginning, this debaters' distaste for rules and regulations is evident. Wow, they even brought this in. Debaters' distaste for rules and regulations is evident, and they are likely to give their young children the freedom necessary to explore on their own. Necessary to explore on their own. Independence is one of the debaters' greatest needs, and they feel that no person is complete without an independent mind. This is very interesting because lately I've been discussing, of course, with coworkers and things like about children and things like that. And like things I've said is that children should bleed. And in my opinion, to me, that doesn't mean that you should cut your child. No, it means children should be playing on their own, and they should get hurt. They should scrape their knees. They should fall out of trees. I also think they should eat sand. They should get dirty and messy. All of these things are teaching moments, not only for the mind, but for the body. Getting crap shoved into your system through your mouth hole means that your body's gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit, and give you an immune system that's worth a damn when they get older. Falling off a ladder and bumping their knees or breaking a leg or something like that is a very good teaching moment for physics. Like, I'm up there, I fall here, it hurts. They're not likely to do it again, especially not when they're older, and the damage is more severe when they're heavier. Children are basically rubber anyways. I had this kind of youth. That summer cottage that I talked about earlier, I grew up there, and I wasn't old. I was 5 or 6 when my mom and dad, pretty much as long as I wore a life vest, I could take the rowboat and go to other islands. Remember, no mobile phones. I could go to other islands that was way outside of like where they could see me. They had no idea what I was doing. What I was doing was exploring. I was walking around the shore looking for like stuff that floated ashore, like sticks or plastic, or once I even found Coca-Cola, like a 1.5 liter bottle of Coca-Cola. That was an excellent night. Shit like this. I had a very free, adventurous youth in that way, and that is something that I want my kid to have as well. Debater personalities create relaxed, unorthodox environments for their children, founded on enthusiasm and the joy of discovery through the development of reason, not heavily structured setting designed merely to be safe. This is exactly it. As their children grow and develop, debaters encourage them to think independently and voice objections, opinions, and alternatives. But unlike diplomat parents who encourage their children to express their thoughts in terms of feelings and needs, debaters teach their children to approach these options from a position of impartiality and logic, to state what is more effective rather than what would make them feel good. As in other relationships, this quality of emotional inaccessibility is where debaters struggle. Here's the thing. They say, as in other relationships, this is quality of emotional accessibility is where the debaters struggle. They say that this is a bad thing. I do not see it as a bad thing. I do not see this as a negative thing in any way. I thought they were like cheering me on. Oh well. I guess not. As their children grow into adolescence and learn to find a balance in healthy emotional expression, people with a debater personality type may find themselves exasperated. While always up for a good debate or just about any subject, debaters often find their partner's help in managing more emotional outbursts, and debaters often need their partner's help in managing more emotional outbursts and arguments. Debaters are more able than most, but even they have their limits and rules when it comes to vocal conflict. Probably true. We'll see when she reaches her teens. There's a way to do it better. Find it. Fucking yes! Luckily, debater personalities recognize that what's at stake. They want their children to grow into smart, independent, honest adults. To convey those values, debaters know that they need that they need, like with any other debate, to communicate in terms that are accessible to all sides. If that means learning how to use the tools of emotional expression and appeals, and in so doing, becoming more emotionally expressive in real personality terms as well, so be it. Career paths. Oh my god, how many are there? Workplace habits. Jesus Christ. Well, we started, we might as well finish it. Just skip it if you don't wanna. Debater careers. In the world of careers, debaters have the benefit of being naturally engaged and interested in being productive and helpful, but rather than the sort of people-oriented helpfulness that diplomat personality types bring to the table, debater personalities are focused on developing solutions and interesting and diverse technical and intellectual problems. Interesting and diverse technical. Debaters are versatile personality type, and while it may take time for them to get to a point where they can fully utilize their skill set and qualities, they are likely to find that those qualities translate well into pretty much any career that so much as piques their interest. Okay. If there's anything debaters love, it's flexing their mental muscle and any environment that lets them devise new approaches, new ideas, and new projects that allows them to push the limits of their creativity will benefit strongly from what debaters bring to the table. Not every career allows this level of unbridled brain power, but there are those that demand nothing. Not every career allows this level of unbridled brain power, but there are those that demand nothing but entrepreneurship, engineering, holy shit, even acting and photography. So long as debaters are honest with themselves about their strengths and weaknesses, they can thrive in most any career that is in need of a new line of thinking. The value of an idea lies in the using of it. All this intellectual power can be intimidating, but unlike their introverted cousins, people with the debater personality type have the added benefit of being excellent communicators in the written word, but especially in face-to-face conversation. Though they dislike the constraints of managing others and of being managed, the social adaptability allows debaters to be natural leaders, showing the way forward and inspiring others with sound logic and intellectual prowess. While others may object to these plans with emotional considerations or general resistance to change, things debater place little value in, these competing comments are usually outmaneuvered by debater personalities' deft arguments and subtly shifting goals. The best careers award intellectual competency and curiosity, allowing debaters to utilize their never-ending flow of ideas productively by affording a degree of spontaneity in how they engage their intellectual pursuits. People with the debater personality types value knowledge, rational thought, and insight very highly, and they make brilliant lawyers, psychologists, system analysts, and scientists. It's even possible for debaters to thrive as sales representatives, as they rationalize purchase decisions that may otherwise seem discretionary, so long as their manager knows to give them the space they need to work their magic. I'm gonna send this to my boss. Being busy doesn't always mean real work. Really, it all comes down to a sense of personal freedom for debaters to know that they are allowed to apply themselves fully to understanding and solving the problems that interest them without getting bogged down by social politics and trying to figure out what makes other people tick. Routine, structure, and formal rules all feel like unnecessary hindrances to debaters, and they may find that their best careers yet allow them to engage their intellectual pursuits on their own terms as freelance consultants or software engineers. The key for debaters is to have the patience to get a position that allows for these freedoms, to be in an environment long enough that not just their colleagues, but their managers and in time their subordinates recognize that what it is that they bring to the table. Debaters have exceptional qualities. It's quantifying their achievements and skill that presents the biggest challenge. But once they've got their foot in the door, once they've got a willing ear higher in the hierarchy, the sky's the limit. Let's see all my bad habits at work. The biggest challenge for debater subordinates is that it's often the fate of the lower positions to implement the details, do the dirty work and follow through on plans set out by their managers. This couldn't be further from what debaters prefer to spend their time on. They can't stand simple routine work, and monotonous tasks are the stuff of nightmares. Things go over much better if managers are able to properly utilize debaters' preference for tackling complex challenges and diverse projects. Debater colleagues. It is as colleagues that debaters prove most polarizing, as their passions for brainstorming, debate, and over-analysis drive more practical, task-oriented colleagues crazy, but serve as stimulating inspiration for those who appreciate the innovation debaters bring. Nothing bothers people with the debater personality type more than getting out of a meeting where everyone agreed with the first plan presented, only to hear everyone complain about how stupid the plan was 10 minutes later. But they didn't want to make waves. Debaters strive for honest, direct, and objective assessment of these ideas, so much that they often earn a reputation for their insensitivity and condescension. Yep. Insensitive and condescending is both things I've had thrown at me. Luckily, debaters know how to relax too, and their witty wordplay, healthy sense of humor, and outgoing nature win new friends quickly and easily. Always willing to draw on their repository of knowledge, conversation with debater personalities are informative and entertaining, which makes it easy for them to be the go-to person for tough problems that stump more rote approaches. Peer-to-peer relationships with debaters aren't always easy, but it's tough to argue that they don't work. Debater managers. While not always their goal, management is often where debaters are most at home, allowing them the freedom to fiddle with different approaches and come up with innovative ways to tackle new challenges without having to handle the tedious step-by-step implementation of these plans. Debaters are open-minded and flexible managers, not just granting but also expecting the same freedom of thought that they themselves enjoy. This can lead to disorder, conflicting ideas and approaches being put forward, but debaters are also great at accurately and objectively assessing which plan is likely to be most effective. This doesn't always make friends, but being liked is less debaters' goal than being respected and seen as intelligent and capable. And liked or no, people with this personality type hold firm ground in rational debates, making them fearsome advocates for their teams. The challenge for debaters is focus, and they may find themselves jumping from project to project in a quest for challenge and excitement before their teams are able to wrap up the details of their existing goals and obligations. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in my career yet that I would recognize myself in these things. Some things, yes, I can recognize myself already in, but I haven't seen the nitty-gritty that they went into there. Debater personality conclusion. Few personality types are as mysterious and controversial as debaters. Man, I'm great. Armed with powerful intellect and curious mind, debaters can outmaneuver obstacles that seem unbeatable to most. They have the ability to entertain multiple ideas and pick the right one with unmatched precision, whether it concerns a challenge at work or their own personal growth. Yet debaters can be easily tripped up in areas where their strengths are more of a liability than an asset. Whether it is finding or keeping a partner, making friends, navigating slippery steps on a career ladder, or simply understanding why they feel the way they feel, debaters need to put in a conscious effort to develop their weaker traits and additional skills. What you have read so far is just an introduction and less than 5% of what we can tell you about the debater personality, blah 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 blah. Wow, this is so accurate, it's creepy, or they know more about me than people I'm closest to. And you may be even a little bit uncomfortable because you're not used to being understood. I'm not going to read this because I think it's working its way into an ad for like buying something. Let's see. But in order to do that, you need a roadmap that fits your needs. Life is too short to stumble around grasping and scattered contradictory advice and make work for 95% of the population, but not you. We now need to go much deeper into the debater mind and answer why, how, and what if. Are you ready to learn why debaters act in the way they do? Our academy provides a roadmap towards more focused, confident, and successful use. Not for everyone. You need to be willing to challenge yourself, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what the academy says. Do I need to buy something? Yeah, now they're selling me something. Now I'm not interested anymore. Alright, we're going to leave it right there. So this was the 16 personality quiz thing. And I have to say, what they said in the end is that it was creepy, like they know more than they should, have they been spying on me? But no, this was amazing. Like they really hit home on so many things that I wouldn't have thought to bring up myself, to explain like, this is what I feel. This thing just like fucking chopped me down. I said chop me up and served me on a platter and pretty much showed you exactly who I am. This was very, very, very entertaining. I recommend that everybody who watches this goes and does it by themselves. It won't take you, what has this taken? It was like 1.5 hours, an hour, something like that. It won't take you that long because you won't be talking and reading to an audience while you're doing it. But go do it, because this was freakishly accurate. This was amazing. Highly recommend that you do this. Yeah. Not much else to say. Now you know everything there is to know about who I am, what kind of person I am. I hope you're still gonna watch my videos. But as I said, I don't know if this is a Sunday snippet or if it's a filler. It might be filler. I mean, it's a very long video. It might be a filler just for a day when I haven't had time to make a video. But all the same, if you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little spelunking into my mind. This little spelunking trip into the canals of my mind, how my brain works. And yeah, go try it yourself. And I will see you in the next video. But for now, we're gonna say bye-bye.